Art has always been an escape, of course. In school, I would be drawing. At home, I would draw. I'd make friends with the shared interest of the art that we made. It's how I got onto the internet, which is how I ended up being who I am today and having the knowledge of what I have to go through life. Because art really is the first step to who I am. Because without art, the snowball would have never started down the hill. None of this would have happened.
Hi, and welcome to the Queer Vision Podcast. I am Becca, and this is
Coe.
and we are the co-hosts of this podcast as well as the co-founders of Queerolina. Today we got to sit down with Merlin, aka Robyn Graves. It was a very, very fun conversation. We got to talk a lot about art and drag and gender and mental health. It was great. It was fun. It was a little all over the place in the best way possible. So sit back, listen, and then go support Merlin.
Well, thank you so much for sitting down with us today on the Queer Vision Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. If you just want to say your name, pronouns, and just give a little short blurb about yourself, just for the viewers.
Well, my name is Merlin. Some other people know me by Mars. Some other people know me as Robyn Graves. My pronouns are he, him, and I am a drag performer. I've been doing drag in Greenville, North Carolina for 4 years now. I'm also a artist. I do digital art, though that has taken a little bit of a hiatus because of the October slide. We love to have it. And I'm also just a community member. I go out into the area. I go to local shows. I support local art, small businesses, and all that good stuff. And I plan on hopefully going back to school next year to study business, to either use that to support my own art, start some sort of co-op, or just because it looks nice on a resume, honestly.
Anything to pad the resume right now, honestly.
Yeah, I have did almost 4 years of college with no degree. So something that looks a little bit nicer than, yeah, I did some college, dropped out.
I mean, I feel like any education is a good thing. I don't know.
Mhm,
I am of the firm believer I like to learn,
mhm.
Whether you finish it or not, I feel like we keep little bits of things from everything that we do. So I think
Yeah, absolutely. Like my years at college, though, I really did struggle a lot, mostly because of not having support with ADHD or autism. I still met amazing people while I was at school. And I went to East Carolina University for a couple years. I
Okay.
was studying art. And the people I met there, a lot of the professors I met, some of my favorites were actually outside of the art program. And a lot of the programs that ECU has to offer, like the LGBTQ Center, I definitely was able to meet a lot of very amazing people, some of who are still my closest friends to this day, and was able to learn more about this community that I've been a part of in Greenville for the past about 5 years now. So definitely was still a worthwhile experience, though a little expensive of an experience for sure.
Definitely it's like expensive experience, but so
Mhm,
worth it, honestly. Like
mhm.
I I don't use my degree, so like I went to college, got a degree. I don't use it, but there are definitely a lot of experiences that like if I didn't have them, I wouldn't be who I am today. And like different things that I learned from classes that like I don't care about hydraulics, hydrology, but like I learned things because the people that I was with in those classes, honestly, just like you're saying, like the people that are around you really affect who you are now.
Yeah, for sure. I remember taking a class that was called Aliens, Atlantis, and Anthropology, and the whole class was just like debunking pseudoscience. And do I need that for anything, really? No, but it was great to laugh at like History Channel ancient aliens and white people who think aliens built the pyramids and stuff. It was great.
I love that, honestly. And it gets you thinking like a little differently too. Like you're just like, I never would have thought like that except for with this class or with these people.
Yeah, the class's focus was on critical thinking, actually. It, I said, oh, I wouldn't really use it, but in all honesty, the whole class was about, if something doesn't really seem right, research it and look into it, make sure you're getting the right factual information, and make sure that the people who are making these claims have the evidence to back up their claims. And it's not just a bunch of hooey.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's awesome. That sounds like I would take that class.
So how did drag come about for you? Was that something that happened like during your college years? Is it a newer? I know you said you've been doing drag for 5 years, was it?
Hmm.
4. Work. Yeah, how
Yeah,
was that journey
so
for you?
I discovered drag before college. First time I ever saw drag, I was 16 years old, and don't tell my mom. I had snuck out and gone to the Burlington Pride on the other side of Raleigh, close to Mebane. And that's when I saw like drag queens performing for the first time. And there was even a drag king there too. So one of my first drag experiences did have a drag king. And there really was something enchanting about it. By that time, I had already known that I was trans masculine. I had known that since middle school. I was a pretty early bloomer in that regard. But I didn't really think at the time drag was something I could do. I didn't quite have the interest in it. And with the 4 or 5 performers that they had, I didn't really see myself at that time. But later, as I started to watch Drag Race, the first season I actually watched as it was happening was whatever season had Evie Oddly in it. And that was the first time I saw
Same.
weird drag. And I was like, oh, okay, so this is cool. And eventually, from, just going down the rabbit hole, I discovered drag kings. I was already a cosplayer. I discovered cosplay drag. And I was about 18 at the time. That's when gears started turning. And that's actually when I created Robyn Graves. I drew him. And I told myself, if I ever do drag, this is who I'm going to be. Then it was post COVID. It was 2021. And I went to one of the shows at Tapped in Winterville that Underground Presents hosts. And that's when I saw a purple tiefling. And I was like, hold on, this is weird, but I love it. And immediately I was like, I have to do this. This is what I got to do. That show, I went and the performer was LSD. And after the show, I went up to that purple tiefling and I was like, hey, 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 how do I do this? Ellis was like, well, we do pop-up performers, show me some of the things you've done and we'll see if there's something we can work with. And I had shown him the makeup I had done at the time because over COVID, I was doing all the TikTok makeup trends
Mhm.
and just playing around with my makeup. And he saw that and he was like, we've got it opening in like a month and a half. You're my drag child now. Congratulations. Welcome to the world. And I was born.
I love, like, I don't know, just that way that community works. And also, like, I feel like I had a similar experience where it's like I saw it on TV, I saw Drag Race, and Drag Race did help get the gears turning, but it was really going out in this scene and like seeing stuff. Like for me, it was Glitter Hour was my big one that really got
Mm.
me into it. Like going there, I was like, wait, I can do this. Like I can get up there and shake my ass and like do so, I don't know, and be a little weird person at the same time. Like I don't know, it's something about going into the club or wherever and just seeing live raw performers instead of this structured view that I feel like sometimes on social media or through Drag Race and stuff and different shows that we can see that I think is so powerful. I feel like if anybody is listening that wants to do drag or is thinking about it, I think that's like my biggest recommendation is like go out, see a show or two. And also like you did, like go up to people, don't be scared, like talk to people, be like, "Hey, I want to do this. I need help." Because most of the time the people are, at least speaking, I know in the more alternative leaning community, if you're that kind of king queen thing, most people are gonna acknowledge you and be like, okay, yeah, let me direct you to, if I don't have a show that I can give you, like let me direct you to this open stage show that you could do. Let me tell you this person and this person. Like, yeah, that's really powerful.
Yeah, and also, if you do go up and they are like a little grumpy, like it's probably just because they're exhausted
They're
That's
hungry
and they're
and
in
they
their
want their
head.
cookout tray. Yeah.
that is too.
Yeah, it warms me in a very loving way whenever someone comes up to me and asks, how do I do this? Like, or they come up to me and they say, the way you do drag, I've never seen it before and it resonates with me. And that's a big part of why I do what I do because, like I said, when I first saw drag, I didn't think it was something off limits to me, but I didn't inherently see myself as far as my interests and my aesthetics go. Granted, that was about 10 years ago, almost. Don't even talk to me about that. 10 years ago, you didn't see the kind of drag that we have today. And when these younger, adults, older teens who are thinking about getting into drag, the first things that they may see are, the drag queens on TV or maybe the really popular drag queens that get booked over and over and over again at the clubs. And they might not know that there's a great sea of what drag has to offer. Because at the end of the day, drag is just overperforming gender. And in this day and age, gender is just what you make of it. So there are millions and millions of ways you can do drag, and it's all valid. And so whenever people come up to me and they ask me, how do you start doing drag? I'm like, you just start. You go
Yeah.
into your closet, you see what you got, you look at the makeup you have, and you just play. Play dress up, go into your inner child, your inner teen, how did you want to dress? Who did you want to be? What's this fantastical version of yourself or even a completely different version of yourself? And just start figuring out what drag means to you.
That's really cool. Have you experienced, so like you do, so you're drag king and you are trans mask. So did you find that like doing drag or like experiencing the drag world helped you with your gender, or do you think you just like you're like, I had it figured out before that. This is just fun for me.
Definitely, I kind of already had it figured out. While people are more than welcome to call me a drag king, and I will sometimes call myself a drag king for ease, I actually consider myself a drag lord. So the kind of in between combination of all of it. So I'm introduced as Lord Robyn Graves, and that's not just because I'm so fancy and think so highly of myself. It's because I'm kind of in between. I switch sides, and that's really what my gender is. On the outside, I do wish to present as a man, someone walking down the street wouldn't think twice about my gender. But on the inside, what I don't portray is so much more fluid and ever changing. And that's what I built my drag on top of, was the identity I already had. Through drag, I have discovered, more things that I like and don't like as far as what I like to put on my body. But as far as my internal feelings of who I am and my identity, that is Robyn Graves. That is what I'm showing you.
That is really cool. So I want to go back to what you said about the fact that like inside you are more fluid, outside you present more mask, right? Do you think that people perceive you as mask because we perceive like the more oh my god, not non-binary. What's the, oh my god, my brain is literally, I'm trying to fight a migraine, I'm sorry. What's the word starts with an A? Androgynous. Oh my god. Do you think it's because we as a society perceive androgyny as more masculine, or do you think it's because you're purposefully doing things to be perceived as more masculine?
That's actually really interesting because from what I've seen, discourse and discussions, people perceive androgyny as more of a feminine thing. And I think that's just because in popular culture, when we do see androgyny portrayed, it might more often be a AFAB person. A lot of the non-binary we see in popular media is usually, not always, not generalizing, usually AFAB, skinny, white, able-bodied. So as far as when people perceive me, I actually never get gendered properly. In fact, when people do call me he, him, and I turn around and I'm like, it's like I'm in a store, they're like, sir, you need any help? And I'm like, oh no, I'm good. They're like, ma'am, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And I'm like, you were so right the first time.
Just leave it where it was.
Yeah. And, that's just part of the struggle of not, having access to or the ability to medically transition at the moment. And that is kind of part of also intrinsic to Robyn Graves, is the fact that I will do drag, put on a beard, but I will do burlesque and stripped down to a bra and panties. And you are just going to have to accept the fact that, yes, indeed, that is still a man.
Yeah. It is always very interesting, the things that I think it's not just like as a whole society, but if you break down like the different cultures inside of our society, the things that each culture and each person in that culture sees per gender, right? Like there are different actions or different, outfits, whatever it is, that one person's gonna be like, that's very feminine, and the other person's gonna be like, that's very masculine. And like it's changed so much over the years too, that it's just like, why do we get so hung up on it? Like, why do we get so hung up on like, well, you don't match this idea that I have about this thing? Like, girl, you don't either. Shut up.
I feel like it's feeding to that Eurocentric gaze that like we've created, especially in our country, and I feel like Europe and like I don't know, like there's the Euro. Do you know what I'm saying?
No,
Because you look
I
at me
don't.
like you don't.
I actually don't understand what you're
Like
saying. I don't think I understand what Eurocentric means
It's
right now.
it's like the beauty standards that have come from like England and come from the US, and
Oh.
like the skinny, like, okay, when
Like
it's
Vogue.
girls, it's like skinny, white, blonde hair, very Sabrina Carpenter. That's the epitome of feminine, right? And then you see like a bulky, hairy, muscly man, like that's the epitome of masculine. Like I think we fall into those archetypes so much, when it is interesting that outside there are so many other cultures that look at things very differently.
And even, I mean, go to Chicago versus like here in Smithfield. The difference is astounding.
That's true.
Like, just get over it. Stop judging people. You're fucking stupid. Like,
And I think the fact that we are beginning to have that kind of disagreement on perception of someone might look at me and be like, you are very clearly feminine, no question about it. But then someone else with a different lens is going to be like, well, I could definitely see masculine features on you, and the way you carry yourself appears more masculine to me. Even just a decade or two ago, like, people would not be questioning that. People would look at me and just instantly know woman, female. But the fact that we are starting to transition into having second thoughts about what we're seeing is a really big thing. It is annoying. It's something that every person who is gender nonconforming, whether that is just simply being gender nonconforming or being transgender, non-binary, what have you, it's annoying to constantly be questioned, but I would so much rather be questioned and be able to give my answer rather than just have people assume and that is their truth and they're walking away with that and I can't do anything about it. So we are starting to move towards not assuming, but it's a very slow crawl that is going to take an entire societal shift to fully complete.
I think that's a really beautiful take and a beautiful way to look at it, I think, for a lot of queer and trans folks right now. Because I feel like it's so easy to definitely get caught up in all the negative shit that we're constantly seeing in media. But when you really do scope out and think about it, like, it's because this is the beginning of a revolution in a way, And it's always going to be kind of messy because there's always going to be people who have a hard time understanding something that they haven't always seen, or something that defies whatever their narratives are in their own head, I don't know. I just think that's really powerful. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, I've always been the person to have the mind space to educate. It's certainly not a bad thing or a flaw if you are someone who is like, I'm not gonna sit down and babysit you and talk to you like you're 3 to help you understand my gender. You either accept it or you don't. That's perfectly valid, and that's a huge sign of confidence in a person. I just enjoy being able to enlighten people and to be able to share these parts of myself with others, because more often than not, the people that come up to actually ask questions and sit down with me at the table are people who are already open-minded enough to allow their reality to change. They're already wondering, is what I was taught, are these rules of society really the truth? Or is it just the bubble that I've been in and I just haven't been able to find the people or resources to have this kind of conversation with? So whenever someone assumes something about me, but I kind of catch that they might be willing to change that assumption, I will always take the time to sit down. And I've been asked some really weird and awkward questions by dudes thrice my age at bars. But you know what? At the end of the day, we walked away from each other and I felt like maybe help someone understand the world they live in just a little bit more.
That is a really cool way to look at it. Like, I think that that can come in with so many different things, right? Like, obviously, gender is one, but then also just like political things, like the fact that we are in such a divided society where you can walk up to somebody and probably just assume, okay, that person probably voted for a liberal candidate, that person probably voted for a conservative candidate, and then just like be like, okay, I'm gonna write them off when it's very much like there are people you can tell obviously. But there are also people that you can't tell, right? And like I think being willing to have those uncomfortable conversations sometimes and just being like not going up to random strangers and being like, "Hey, what did you vote? That's weird. That's weird. Don't do that." But like whenever you have conversations with these people that become your associates and then you're like, "Oh, okay, I see that you like feel this way. Like, can we have a conversation about I don't understand?" Like just being willing to be like, I'm willing to be a little uncomfortable so that I can learn and so that I can show them the way that I also see this thing so we can come together again. That's very like not everybody wants to have that conversation. That's fine. But also, if you're willing to have those conversations, it's really fun, honestly,
Hmm.
when you get the right people.
And it's where change is really made,
Mhm.
right? Like I feel like the more we're able to talk to each other and find some sort of common ground, that's when the change does happen. And it's not always gonna happen. Like there are gonna be people who are gonna be like, shut the fuck up. Like I don't want to hear you. And live your truth. But um
Okay, Cody.
yeah.
I was gonna say, I'll shut the fuck up.
Oh, okay, bye girl. But yeah, I think that is powerful. And I think right now it's not like you said, it's not everybody's path. It's not everybody has that ability to do that. But if you do, yeah, it's where the change happens.
Yeah, I like that.
Hmm. Yeah, because no one knows anything until they're taught. Some of these people who we're facing aversion from just simply never have been told certain information. I have an older brother who we disagree on many a things about the world that we live in. But because of who I am and the perspective that I'm able to bring him, the change I've seen from him over the past few years, where he has become a little bit more open minded and a little bit more receptive to, um, you know, differences in other people, specifically about LGBTQ people. He's come into the mindset of, you know, they're not hurting me and they're not hurting other people, let them live, I'll mind my business. And it takes time. It takes time and effort to do this kind of work. It's not easy, and especially not easy when it's people who are close to you who have these closed-minded, bigoted ideas. But there has to be someone at some point that has to come along and tell them, you're out of line. This is not right. And if no one ever does that, we're just going to be stagnant. If
Mhm.
Yeah.
there's no one to challenge these ideas and opinions, they're just simply not going to change. And
Yeah.
it's really hard. I will not say it's easy, but someone at some point's got to come along and do it.
Yeah.
Right, I agree, and I mean, obviously, stagnant would be honestly the best case scenario if people didn't talk. I feel like it just creates way more division. It makes it so much easier. But you talked about your brother. How did life go like growing up? Because you said you knew pretty early on that you were transmasc, right? So like, was your family receptive? Did you have people around you that were supportive? What was it like for you?
Yeah, I definitely don't want to talk too much about it, but what I will say is that it is the reason why I have not been able to start HRT and a lot of other things. But my older brother has become a very positive ally. He was definitely there for me later on. In the beginning, he was pretty against who I was and what I was doing. But that's because he self-admittedly was in an online environment that told him that, trans people are confused at best.
Mhm.
But he, and I'm very proud of him for this, got himself out of that. he realized, that the environment he was in was making him unhappy, making him angry. Everyone else was just talking in circles. And then after that happened, I had actually invited him out to the Greenville Pride one year. And I've performed on the stage a couple times for that. And he saw me perform. And that was a beautiful full circle moment to have a member of my family come out and watch me do drag. I've been told some things by some people in my family, that there is still hope, but it's just kind of one of those things where no time really feels like the right time. And
Right.
I'm comfortable enough in who I am at the moment and how I present, that it's definitely not a dire need, but with the kind of political environment we're in, it is a little worrisome if I'm ever going to be able to transition.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
I
because
think that's a valid concern for a lot of people. Have you been able though, like since then, to be able to build a good community that you feel supported by? Like I'm assuming drag usually helps with that, but do you feel like you have a good community around you?
absolutely. I don't keep people around me that I don't feel safe around, or I don't keep people around me that I even don't enjoy. If
Mhm.
I don't get along with you, I'm, not going to sit here and pretend to be your friend or anything because God bless, I grew up with enough of that going through the school system. But yeah, literally every single person around me, I even know at least one person that's like, if you want to start testosterone and you get the okay from your doctor, but you're unable to get the testosterone, I will help you with that. And I know other people that would drive at the drop of a hat would drive me to a clinic. And even if not that, there are everyone I keep around me. If I get misgendered, they will sometimes faster than I do correct them. So yeah, and it's really been like that since high school because I found out in middle school I was trans. And when I came into high school is when I started going by a different name. And I very quickly found the group of people, and not even peers, but teachers as well, that would support me and defend me. And it is those people that have kind of kept me sane through my journey of life. And they are part of the reason why I'm able to be comfortable with who I am as I am, because they stood up to bat for me, you know, and because they validated my gender and, validated it in front of other people, I internalized that and was like, they see me as a man. So, why shouldn't I?
Right.
I think, yeah, finding community is so important.
Oh yeah.
So I'm glad you do have that.
Yeah, and I'm glad that it was teachers too, like, because I feel like our peers, it's a little bit I mean, it's sometimes they're the most assholish people that I've ever met, but also, like, it's so much easier to be like, "Oh, they're around my age, like, we're
Mhm.
experiencing similar things," like, it's a little bit easier for them, like, to understand who I am. But, like, having teachers who are actively going out and, like, getting to know their students enough to support them is amazing. Like, I know I was lucky enough to have that, but I didn't have the same type of experiences with my gender and stuff like that. It was just more so, like, having a mentor, right? So going that extra step of being like, "You know what? I'm here for you," does really help. So, I love that,
Mhm.
especially down here.
Also, not to switch gears,
Um,
in the front of digital art, I know you said you've been doing that for quite some time. So what role does that play for you in life? Is it something that's more like a hobby? Was it something that you treated as more of like a career or a little bit of both?
It's definitely a little bit of both. I started doing digital art without shortly after I got my first ever phone, which look, I know I'm a little younger. My first ever phone was an iPhone, but it was an iPhone 3. Okay. It was like a brick.
Mhm.
And I found art apps and I drew on that tiny little phone with my finger. And that's where it started. Because before then, I had already been drawing on pencil and paper. But eventually, for Christmas, I got a tablet. Eventually, I got my own computer, got my own laptop, and was able to really start cultivating that talent. Nowadays, my art is something I use to put my imagination into reality. I make a lot of characters and a lot of stories. If you know me, one of the first things you know is some of my OCs, my original characters that I've made, which are usually derivative of whatever media I'm interested in the moment. But I do love Dungeons and Dragons as well. Every now and then I'll make a D&D character that I never get to play. Art has always been an escape. Of course, in school, I would be drawing. At home, I would draw. I'd make friends with the shared interest of the art that we made. It's how I got onto the internet, which is how I ended up being who I am today and having the knowledge of what I have to go through life. Because art really is the first step to who I am. Because without art, the snowball would have never started down the hill. None of this would have happened.
Right.
And every now and then I'm able to make a little bit of money off of it. I do commissions. Currently they are closed because I'm trying to figure out how to draw again. I started a new medication that didn't really help with that. But it's not something I really want to make a career. It's almost a little sacred to me, the art that I do, and I don't want that to either become a chore or become a job, or if I were to work for another company, to become owned by someone else.
Yeah.
That is totally fair. So going back to Dungeons and Dragons, because I know my boyfriend will kill me if I don't ask. You said you don't get to play it. Is that because you just like don't have a group or like okay.
Yeah, it's so hard. Look, I went through a period where I DM'd. I was the dungeon master just so I could play. And being a DM is so hard, and I didn't end up enjoying it. I did DM. It was like a whole solid year. I was running a couple groups, and if I really wanted to, I could sit down and start DMing again, but I very rarely get to have that player experience. If I do find a group, we usually just make our characters and then it kind of fizzles out from there. So I've got a buttload of characters with their sheets ready to go, but the chances of me finding a group to play with that meets even remotely consistently
It is really
cats.
hard.
Yeah.
It is impossible. I know Justin also is very tired of being a DM all the time, but if he finds a group, I'll let you know. Cause we're trying. I'm like, I don't understand any of this shit, so I couldn't be a DM. There's too many things. There's too many variables. I'm like, I didn't grow up in this world. I don't know it.
It's a lot of math. It's so much math. Oh my God.
Honestly, the math, I'm okay with. I'm okay with the math. The math is great. There's so many races and classes, and I'm like, I don't know the difference of any of these. All I know is I want to be able to talk to animals.
I got you. Tiefling druid. Just play a tiefling druid. That's the only character you gotta know. Just play
And
a
it's
tiefling.
me over here knowing
Gays
like
love
nothing
that.
at all.
Be a tiefling or be an elf. Gays love that. And just be a druid.
I was a rock gnome for one. Then his name was Pebbles, and then I was a druid. I don't remember what kind of druid or anything like that. I just remember that Justin made me characters and that I played twice, and I don't like role playing. I find it anxiety ridden, but it is a really fun thing. Whenever there's a group that gets together, I will let you know so you don't have to DM.
Thank you so much. Just a little small addition. Small addition to this tangent. You said that role playing is hard. I have found if you ever do find the interest to play again, the easiest thing to do is to literally make just like a self-insert. Just be yourself, but in the D&D world, because then role-playing isn't role-playing. You're talking to the rest of the idiots at the table as yourself, so you don't have that pressure of having to be another character, and that is also so much fun.
That's fair. Honestly, it's so weird because, like, having conversations with people, meeting new people, I'm fine with that, but then, like, coming up with things on the spot. But whenever I'm, like, playing a game, even if I'm pretending to be myself, I'm like, what do I say to that? What is that? What do I do now? Like, it's just like, I don't know. There's a block in my brain. There's a lot of blocks in that brain, actually. I thought you were about to agree with me, like, my brain is blocked.
Well.
Okay, anyway. Curious conversation, again. Ignore the Dungeons and Dragons offshoot that we did.
You're looking at me like I
don't know. You have questions. You have questions now?
We can't ignore it. It's going in.
I feel like we all have ADHD.
We do.
I did not take my medicine this morning.
I've been off mine for a while.
We're doing great.
Yeah, what was I
But
gonna
hey, we
I
could
don't know
talk
what you
about
were
that.
gonna
We could
say.
talk about how hard ADHD has been. The fact that I
That's real.
only 2 months ago finally got medicated. That took forever to do because it
Yeah.
Mhm.
was largely my ADHD why I ended up dropping out of college because I couldn't do anything. I was just not doing work or turning in assignments, and that's just kind of how school was for me since middle school, really. ADHD is a beast. It is impossible to manage on your own. Like, as much as I tried, I researched it and I tried to use all the like self-help, tools and ideas that other people have used, but ADHD is one of those things where if it's, mucking up your life, you have to get medicated for it because it's just never going to get better.
Yeah, unless you give yourself OCD.
That's your story, Diva.
It works. You get shit done. You just end up so anxious all the time.
So when I was on medication for ADHD, like it did help a lot, but the crash was
Mhm.
so unbelievably bad. And I heard someone talking about this on TikTok for the first time the other day, and I had never heard anyone speak about the crash for some reason. But they worded it so perfectly. They were like, it feels like someone just like takes your brain out and replaces it with another brain. And that's literally like, I was on Vyvanse, everything would be great. 5 p.m. would hit. It was like all my ADHD symptoms, all my neurodivergency would come back times 10. Like all the neurodivergency that was like held back for the rest of the day, bam, right on the table. Like, and I don't know, like something about that was so difficult, I think, with my own personal life, just being like working on logistical stuff, but then also being in the drag scene and like being in the nightlife scene because it's like that's so important to me. So I don't want to be like numb and irritable and not be able to think at those times of days.
You were very foggy in the evenings.
Yeah.
Whenever we had events, like they would have to take it in the morning to be able to do work, like to be able to like exist at the coffee shop, right? And then like by the evening, they'd be like speaking and be like,
No,
"I'm here, but I don't know what I was supposed to say." Like
Mhm.
it was bad.
Is that something that you deal with, like the crash of it all?
It's kind of, sort of. I'm still trying to decide if medication is even for me right now or if I need to get on a different one because I'm not on Adderall because I've got a funky heart.
Me too.
I'm on Concerta, but it's like it helps in so many ways, but it also takes away from you. It's the reason why I haven't drawn in like a month. And that's a long time to go for me because I'm motivated to do, all the boring stuff like doing chores and like actually getting out of bed within 15 minutes of waking up and stuff. And it's fixed like a lot of my sleep issues, which was something I've been struggling with for years and years. But I have found it's starting to get in the way of a lot of my creative endeavors. It's even kind of bumped heads with me doing drag because I don't feel that natural font of inspiration hit me. I have to sit down and actually dedicate like a time slot of my day to go into art brain. And that crash, it I think it does happen. I'm on a lower dose, so it might not be as bad. But there was um it was a drag show in Raleigh at Chapel of Bones just a month and a half ago, and I was starting to get so scatterbrained and just not I was getting disorganized and not being able to keep track of time as fast, and I ended up not being able to go during with the order I was supposed to go. I went like 2 people after because I wasn't even finished getting dressed, and I was so panicking in a way I have never panicked before because,
Mhm.
yeah, I lost my brain.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Gone. So, I'm still really new to the medication, so it is an adjustment period, and I know that it's gonna help me a lot more down the road with me wanting to go back to school and stuff, but it's like, do I wanna go back to trying to navigate this world as a neurodivergent person and the struggles I had? Or do I want to stick with this, which has created new struggles for me but also kind of helps in summary. It's like what type of poison do I want? Do I want
Yeah.
the
Right.
unmedicated poison or the medicated poison?
I think that's one of the hardest things, I think, to explain to somebody that doesn't have ADHD is, like, when you say, "I lost my brain," it's not like, "I don't know what to focus on." It's it's like a ping pong, like, things are,
Yeah.
like, coming in, and then I just can't catch them. Like, it's like, I don't even know what I'm thinking because there's so many thoughts going on at once, and so it's like, I can't sit down and actually just get this out of my brain or do the thing or come up with that prioritized task or whatever, like, you do your best, right? But it's like it's all over the place. And then whenever you get foggy, it's like having the simplest conversations make no sense.
Mhm.
Like somebody could say, "My cat is black," and you'd be like, "What
You're
the fuck
what?
is going on? Where were we at in this conversation?" And it's also hard whenever you have other medical issues. Like I can't take any stimulants because of my heart. So like I'm on Wellbutrin and I'm like, well, that's a depression thing. And they're like, it also helps with ADHD. I'm like, okay. I
Mhm.
don't honestly know if I've had anything help or not help because it's like such a gradual thing with most of these
Mhm.
medicines. But now I'm like, I'm not going off of it. I'm scared. Like this is what it
Yeah.
is with medicine. I don't want to go off. It's hard.
I remember I had just started a new job. It was, like, right after I started my medication at the time, and it was definitely worse at the beginning than it was the whole time, but, like, I couldn't even, like, and this sounds dramatic, but I was, like, stocking shelves, and I couldn't read, like, I don't know. It was like my brain was not allowing me to.
It was just letters that didn't make a
Yeah, it
word.
was like, this isn't, I can't even organize anything, I
Mhm.
can't even read what this package is saying to me. It was the weirdest experience, and it is strange how that happens, and hopefully they will find some sort of solution for it at some point. I think also, like, there are things that can help, yeah, it's just different for everyone, and I think at
It's
the
so
end of the
different.
day, like, the sad reality is kind of we're in a society that wasn't necessarily built for us in the way that our
Mhm.
brains function.
We also don't even understand why they function this way. Like, is
Yeah.
ADHD actually one thing or is it 10 different things because we all have different symptoms? And so,
Mhm,
like, we're trying to use the same medicine for 10 different versions of this thing. Like,
mm,
we don't know enough because we haven't studied enough. And we definitely haven't studied like AFAB people nearly enough on this stuff.
mhm,
So we don't know how hormones have anything to do with it. We haven't studied trans people. We don't know how like synthetic hormones affect it. Like, we don't know anything. Science has gotten so far behind and it's just going to get farther behind. It's great because we're talking about this world right now
Mhm.
yes,
with this society.
crash out,
You know
Diva.
what? I will because science should be better than it is right now. And also because medical stuff sucks and it's just going to get worse as we get older because our bodies don't want to rehabilitate themselves.
Why can't we just be immortal? Imagine your cells slowly dying and withering. I don't know, skill issue or something. Couldn't be me.
Couldn't.
Yeah,
Definitely don't have those panics ever.
Yeah, like the fact that, the society's not built for people like us. I also have autism on top of having ADHD, which it's so hard to go about the world, with ADHD. So having a hard time focusing or getting all my ducks in an order and getting motivated to do things while also having to combat, you know, not being able to people very well and not, understanding certain aspects of society. It can become really scary sometimes to go out into the world and just feel like I'm literally not equipped to be around people some days, because some days is a lot worse for me. I'm pretty extroverted, actually. I do enjoy going out and spur of the moment, going to go watch a show or gonna go hang out with friends, but there is some days where I'm like, I don't even feel like a person. I don't feel like, I feel like an amorphous blob going through society and someone talks to me and I'm just kind of like deer in the headlights. A lot of my what other people would call deficiencies are part of what has made me the person I am. It's where a lot of my art and creativity has come from, but it's also just so at odds with trying to just live life and navigate this world.
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm almost convinced that neurotypicals are the problem because I feel like whenever I encounter neurodivergent people, I can have good conversations. We can have like that conversation of, I don't understand what you're saying. Okay, like, how do we accommodate this? Like, what are we figuring out? Like, oh, okay, like, rattle on for 5 hours because now we actually enjoy a topic or because we're figuring something out. And I feel like every single time that I have worked with like a group of neurotypical people, it has been the most excruciating. Why are you not understanding this thing that I'm telling you? And then you're talking to me like I'm supposed to understand the thing that you aren't actually saying. Like, what does this mean? What are you doing? What do you mean I'm supposed to show up 10 minutes early before my shift starts? Like, that doesn't make sense. I'm not getting paid for those 10 hours, like, or 10 minutes. Like, what the hell? Like, it doesn't make sense. Unspoken rules are dumb and we should write them down.
I think it really does come from a place of like, there's so much miseducation and like the average person, I don't know, not the average person, but like a lot of neurotypical people just aren't introduced or educated on neurodivergencies in the way they should be. And I think it shows up in so many ways.
So many. There's also the willingness to work with people that aren't like them, which we're experiencing a lot in our society. It's great.
Anywho,
Yeah,
as we-
it's like
sorry.
the person that I present myself as, like going about my day-to-day life in front of people, is so far from the person I actually am when I'm like alone and by myself. You know, I think that's part of the reason why everything's so hard is because of masking, which is something very prevalent amongst AFAB people with autism. It's exhausting to essentially be pretending and playing a part whenever I go out because I've had to learn through blundering and mistakes the social rules of what's acceptable and not acceptable. And I've had to kind of create a persona off of that. To this day, there is not a single person, even the one person who is closest to me, that has seen me completely unmasked as I am. Because when I drop everything and I'm like, I'm done pretending to be this person, it is not quite what I would describe as, you know, high functioning autism, really. The high functioning part is me going into overdrive, trying to make sure that, you know, I'm being appropriate and speaking clearly and everyone's understanding me. But it takes so much effort to do that.
Yeah. And then that makes it even harder with with ADHD as well. Like whenever you mask so much, it affects your energy, which affects your ADHD and the symptoms that you get.
Yeah, I feel like I'm on this, which given I feel like I don't mask as much as I think I do, that was a realization I've came into recently, that I don't mask my autism as much, my ADHD as much as I thought, but I am learning to even unmask more. So everybody better buckle up. But
We're going
is
off
really
the
fun.
rails with the tism.
because I mean, I'm grateful, like my partner is probably the one person that I can like really unmask around, like, but yeah, there is still like so many societal norms that it's like, girl, I want to unmask, but I can't just be in the middle of a shop and just start like saying random ass shit. Like people are gonna look at me crazy, but maybe I shouldn't care. I
No,
don't
but
know.
there is also
It's
the real
weird.
danger of, okay, they look at me
Yeah,
crazy and then they might actually do something about it, which
yeah.
that's the danger of not masking. I think it's not necessarily, okay, I'm going to get judged. I'm fine with getting judged. I'm not quite fine with the cops being called on me because I'm having a conversation with myself inside of Target.
Which also so off
Yeah.
topic, but reminded me of this video. I saw
Oh
this
God.
dude. Okay, but listen. This is a very interesting thing to bring up. This guy was like dancing, but very like what's the word? Interpretive dancing, like on a street, but like in a public like square, right?
Okay.
Where it's like that's a public gathering place, like you can do that. And he just had his headphones in and he was dancing and like was almost arrested.
People think that
Yeah, people
you
just
need help.
automatically assume that when we free ourselves so much from like the norms of how we're told, we always have to act and walk and talk and that, oh, you must be on drugs.
Yeah.
You must have lost it. Like you must be
You
having a
must be a
mental break
danger to everybody around you because you're dancing with headphones in.
because you've let go of like all the perception. It's an interesting thing.
It is.
And I could probably talk about it forever. Sorry, we've went on
We could have
20
a whole other
tangents.
conversation. We could
I
literally do another
know.
interview.
We could have like 12 podcast episodes like right here. Like
I know.
you don't understand. I am a yapper. I'm a Sagittarius. Okay, it's what we do.
Love it. Do you know your moon and rising by chance?
I am a Sagittarius sun, Libra moon, Pisces rising.
Okay.
It's
word.
very tragic. I'm so emotional. Please help me.
It's that water moon, actually, because I have a Scorpio moon. I'm an Aries sun, Scorpio moon, Libra rising.
It hurts. It hurts.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think having a fire moon really sucks because it wants to be in the sun sign.
Yeah, I think that's what makes me want to punch you so much.
Yeah, it does. I fight myself a lot, which means that like we have an issue sometimes. I'm a Virgo sun, Leo moon, Gemini rising, so I'm built to fight myself. Do you have any place that people can see your art, or is that something you just like? It's more of an in-person type thing,
Or like social media stuff that you'd
Mhm.
like to share.
Yeah, especially for
Yeah.
performance.
If you want to see my drag, I am Lord Robyn Graves on Instagram. If you want to see my art, I am Dead King Mars on BlueSky, though it has been a little while since I uploaded, but I'm hoping to fix that here real soon. That's pretty much all the public places that I am. If you see anyone else on any other social media running around with the name Dead King Mars, that's probably me.
Okay, love
Well,
that.
this has been amazing. Thank you so much for just being so open and vulnerable and talking about so many things. I feel like, yeah, this was a really good episode.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Thank you so much
you.
for having me. This has been so much fun, and I was super excited to do this, and I'm glad I got this opportunity. So thank you so much for facilitating this space, not just for me, but for the other people you bring on.
Thank you. It's been really nice getting to know you. I hope we get to talk to you more in the future.
Yeah, hopefully.
Thank you so much for watching this episode of the Queer Vision Pod. Once again, I am your co-host, Koe, and this is
Hi, I'm Becca.
We Are the Queer Vision Pod. We sat down today with Merlin, or better known as Lord Robyn Graves in the drag scene. We talked about art, we talked about neurodivergency, we talked about a lot of fun stuff. So thank you for sticking through and hearing all of this. This was a really good episode, and I hope you gained something from it the way that we did. You can find Merlin on their drag Instagram as Lord Robyn Graves, as well as their BlueSky, which is Dead King Mars. And you can find their art account as well, which will be linked in the show notes. Thank you all so much for watching this episode. You can find us at queerolinaorg and the Queer Vision Mag on Instagram, TikTok, all that fun stuff. And we'll see you in the next one.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
You need sinus medicine?
Do you have sinus medicine?
Yeah.
I'm poor, so I will
Yeah.
borrow it from you.
Okay.
Today we sat down with
Merlin.
Merlin. Hey, oh, I don't like my body posture there.
I don't like my body all the time either.
Hey, hi, hello, and thanks for watching. Oh, well, I said too many things. Hey, hi, hello, and welcome to this episode of The Queer Vision. I am your co-host of The Queer Vision Pod. Why did I say that twice? And cut.
Can you put these as the as the bloopers?
We are the co-host of The Queer Vision Pod and Queer Alina.
We're not the hosts of Queer Line. No, we're the co-founders of Queer Line.
Do the intro. I want my Big Mac. I didn't get to eat it.
I hate you. Can you do the outro?
I hope so. That's my clown account, my slutty clown boy account.
Oh.